I was gone before the winter broke, carried by the words my father spoke, cast upon this long and rocky path, never to look back. In every tender step the shadow cast, till we find a place to rest at last. Broken souls upon the borderline, every heart alight, every heart alight. I would work your fields and factories, I would learn to speak in your tongue. I didn't leave my home and family only to become a refugee. And the righteous with their flags unfurled, full of spite and fear of our old world, and their ancient lost in the dust, they are lost like us, lost like all of us. We would work your fields and factories, we would learn to speak in your tongue. We didn't leave our homes and families to become refugees. Carried these memories full of love and melody, but these walls won't fall until we rise with every heart alight, every heart alight. I have worked your fields and factories, I have learned to speak in your tongue. I didn't build my home and family only to become, only to become a deportee.
We join with other UUs in the tradition of striking the gong 3 times. Once in remembrance of those who've lived, built, and nurtured this congregation before us. Once with appreciation for all of you calling this home today. And once with anticipation and hope for those who will be part of this congregation in the future. Good morning. It's Sunday, February 1st, 2026. My name's Kathy Mitchell, and I'm your service leader for today. We want to welcome everyone joining us online and in person to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Here you can be yourself, but not by yourself. Whomever you love, however you describe yourself or name the holy, you are welcome here. We especially welcome those of you who are visiting for the first time and those recently new to us and returning again. We're so glad that you're here with us today. Everyone, please stay for coffee, tea, and conversation after the service so we can get to know one another better. We begin our service with the acknowledgement that our congregation rests on the unceded lands of Indigenous people. The name of the Umpqua tribe graces our congregation and the river that flows through this land. We make this land acknowledgement in recognition of the Cow Creek Umpqua, the Yoncalla Kalapuya, and the Southern Molalla, and other tribes who have been forcibly displaced, yet who continue to live, lead, create, and belong here. May this acknowledgement move us toward repair. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, humanist, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, atheist, agnostic, and those who weave together more than one path. We think for ourselves, and we honor how life experience shapes what we believe. We come from radical roots and a long history of people who sought a faith grounded in freedom, reason, and love. Unitarian Universalism is its own faith tradition. We are united, not because we all believe the same thing, but because we share a commitment to seek the truth, practice compassion, and build a more just and loving world. Our practices differ, our languages for the holy differ, but the tradition we share is real, a faith shaped by history, covenant, by conscience, and by community. There will be a board meeting next Sunday. Agendas, copies of the agenda are available at the back table. Additional announcements are in your order of service. I believe that there's a sale going on to benefit the scholarship committee, and so there's goodies in the back that are available for purchase, and as I said, all of the funds go. Oh yes, all the goodies are homemade. Yeah, no store-bought stuff here. Any other announcements? Additional announcements are in your order of service along with upcoming events. Much appreciation, as always, goes to our staff, our greeters, who today were an individual, Al Herring, and to Genevieve Gonzalez, our church administrator, who keeps our lines of communication open. And she also really went out of her way to make tons of copies for today's service, so we appreciate that greatly. Also, Jake Tranter is managing the media and ensuring our service goes out to those unable to be present today. And last but not least, our music group, Bill and Doug and Judy and Merlin. It's a changing group. I have to keep track of them. It's sometimes difficult. In our community today, there are many children and adults, housed and unhoused, facing illness, hunger, and without shelter. Acting in compassion for those who are in need, our service to the larger community is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in the community. Our Unitarian Universalist faith has grown from seeds planted by our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors. From them, we've inherited a legacy of courage and compassion, finding new ways to live our values.
These are the words of Reverend Elizabeth Wynne. As Unitarian Universalists, our journey is to transform the big and the small, to transform ourselves and to transform the world. Universalism means no one is outside the circle of love, and no one is disposable.
No one is outside the circle of love, and no one is disposable. We stubbornly seek out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. Interdependence means none of us is truly free until we are all free. And our thriving is bound up in the earth's thriving. None of us is truly free until we all are free.
We struggle for liberation from the violence of white supremacy, sexism, ableism, classism, and homophobia. Our covenants mean we make promises to our communities to honor love and justice above all else.
We make promises to honor love and justice above all else. Now, please rise as you're able, and we will sing our opening song, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the night.
I'd like to take this time to introduce our speakers today and tell you a little bit about this service. You've heard from Larry High and Maureen Esser, and you will also be hearing from Ashton and Abby Olson, Dana McDonald, Doug Eckstein, Judy Eckstein, and Gemma Cray. This worship service tells 8 stories from our Unitarian Universalist histories. Stories about how ordinary people showed up in very different ways in particular contexts to side with love and to show up for justice. We hope you find the stories we tell meaningful, reflective of our values, and pertinent to the world we are living in today. To begin our first story, let us remember one of our beliefs. No one is outside the circle of love, and no one is disposable. In September of 1938, Nazi Germany invaded northern Czechoslovakia. Thousands of refugees, Jews, and others fearing Nazi occupation fled south, many ending up in Prague.
In January 1939, the Reverend Waitstill Sharp and his wife Martha could have turned down the request from the American Unitarian Association to leave their children and home and head to Prague to aid persecuted people. An isolationist America was not yet at war and reluctant to open its doors to refugees. 17 others had declined the mission, but the Sharps said yes. Just weeks after their arrival in Czechoslovakia, the couple watched Hitler's troops march into Prague. They were shadowed by Gestapo agents. Their offices were ransacked, and they had to burn files to protect refugees' identities. The young couple narrowly escaped arrest by returning home in August.
A year later, the Sharps returned to a second mission. They secured a trainload of condensed milk in great demand to feed refugee babies in southern France. Working with various aid networks, the Sharps rescued an estimated 125 people, Jews, political dissidents, and others under threat as fast as armies spread across Europe. They also helped get food and other assistance to hundreds more in urgent need.
We begin our second story by remembering another of our beliefs. We make promises to honor love and justice above all else.
By the mid-1940s, the strength of Nazi Germany had grown, taking severe tolls on human life throughout Europe. Not enough was being done to assist the thousands of people attempting to flee the danger of Nazi occupation. Inspired by Reverend Waitstill and Martha Sharp's courageous mission, the Unitarian Service Committee was established in 1940 to continue humanitarian service. Its commission
to escape to freedom. But the Unitarian Service Committee was an unknown organization. That put them at a disadvantage. Establishing trust across barriers of language, nationality, and faith could mean life instead of death.
Joy needed an official symbol for the papers issued by the Service Committee. He wrote, "When a document may keep a person out of jail, give them a standing with governments and police, it is important that it look important." He asked Hans Deutsch, an Austrian refugee artist, to create one. The result was essentially the flaming chalice as we know it now. And like our faith itself, the flaming chalice symbol has evolved over time.
The chalice, as a two-dimensional drawing, eventually transformed into the object used in worship, thanks to our religious exploration programs. Curricula in the late 70s encouraged the children to make chalices in different media. Eventually, those chalices morphed into objects that could be lit. The first documented uses of chalices in the main sanctuary are from Sundays on which the children and youth led worship and demonstrated their practice to the adult congregation.
Our chalice light on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We're not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we all are free. And now please rise as you are able as we say the words of our affirmation together. They can be found in your order of service. We come together to renew our spirits, to open our hearts, to remember the strength we find in community, and to shape a more just and loving world together. We now take a moment to hold what we're carrying into this day. You may be seated. Sorry. The joys that have found us and the worries, griefs, and longings that travel with us too. If you'd like to light a candle, you're invited to come forward and form a line to the left. When you share, please say your name and please keep your words brief so everyone has time and space in this circle of care.
I'm Jacqueline Pratt. Jacqueline Baker Pratt. What we just heard, I was aware of. I was 5 when we just heard. I started to cry even then because I knew something amazing.
We begin our third story by remembering that none of us is truly free until we all are free.
In the 18 is this working? Okay. In the 1800s, white Unitarians and Universalists had inconsistent responses to what we now recognize as the evil of slavery. The country's bitter divisions grew when the Fugitive Slave Act was passed in 1850. While Unitarians and Universalists stayed on the sidelines, some Unitarians and Universalists stayed on the sidelines while others became avid abolitionists. Unitarian minister Reverend Theodore Parker was an abolitionist, a leading member of the Boston Vigilance Committee, an underground group that helped hundreds of enslaved people find freedom.
In 1854, a 19-year-old enslaved person named Anthony Burns escaped from slavery in Virginia and fled to Boston, where he was arrested and held at the courthouse. A crowd of 5,000 assembled at Boston's Faneuil Hall, where Theodore Parker told them, "I love peace, but there is a means and there is an end. Liberty is the end, and sometimes peace is not the means toward it." Meanwhile, members of Boston's black community were meeting nearby and rushed to the courthouse in an attempt to rescue Burns. Hundreds of white abolitionists ran from Faneuil Hall to help them. An estimated 2,000 anti-slavery protesters mobbed Court Square that Friday night and tried unsuccessfully to free Burns.
The United States was built on a legacy of slavery, racism, and oppression that continues to take new, ever-changing forms. Today, 172 years after the Boston Slave Riot, Unitarian Universalists bear witness to the systematic devaluing of black lives. We commit ourselves to dismantling systems of white supremacy, which is an institutionalized cultural pattern reaching far beyond any single incident or person.
As our service continues, we'll respond to some stories by singing, and each time we'll change the pronouns in the song, "There is a Love," to remind us how our love is directed within, among, and beyond ourselves. The music group will lead us in these sung responses. I think we need a bigger stage and less chords.
We got dead battery. Is that on?
No, I think you're good. There you go.
We're going to do it almost a cappella. I think we're good. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Okay. You just needed to wake up. Go ahead. Go ahead. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Let's do that again. There is a love
In our next story, we remember again that none of us is truly free until we all are free.
In the years before Kansas was admitted to statehood in 1861, there was a violent conflict about whether slavery would be legal in the new state. John Brown, who had been born in the territory that became Kansas, was fiercely opposed to slavery. He believed that violence was justified in this righteous cause because white people would never willingly, peacefully put an end to slavery.
In 1857 and again in 1859, John Brown came to Boston to seek financial support from local abolitionists. His strongest and richest supporters came to be known as the Secret Six. 5 of them were Unitarians. 2, Theodore Parker and Thomas Wentworth Higginson, were Unitarian ministers. The Secret Six helped fund and supply John Brown's 1859 raid on the Federal Armory at Harper's Ferry.
In the words of Reverend Carl Gregg, we can today see the ways in which the Secret Six were naive in supporting John Brown's raid at Harper's Ferry. At the same time, the Secret Six did risk their comfort and their privilege to support Brown's armed insurrection because they had come to believe that nonviolent legislative means of ending slavery had no chance of succeeding. The historical consensus is that Brown's raid, even though it failed, did catalyze the movement toward the Civil War.
Dismantling oppression is not easy. The systems of white supremacy, sexism, ableism, classism, and homophobia don't want to be changed. They're powerful. They fight back when we attempt to find another way. How far would you go to set other people free? It's your question to answer. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition will not provide the answer for you. Instead, Unitarian Universalism asks us to engage our free and responsible in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. For justice as we hold the tension between the world as it is and the world as we wish it to be. We're supported by the voluntary generosity of all who attend. Your gifts of time, talent, and treasure are what fuels our congregation's mission and keeps the flame of justice, community, and love burning brightly. If you are a visitor, please be our guest and let the basket pass you by. What is given now is received in appreciation of our shared hopes and values. For the gifts we have received, may we be truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. And now we'll sing our response, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to
Some of our stories of Unitarian Universalist justice makers are about how injustice, the diminishment of a person's dignity, inherent worth, and autonomy impact our most personal choices. We begin our next story by remembering that we make promises to honor love and justice above all else.
Unitarian Universalists believe that freedom includes the right to make decisions about our own bodies. We believe that people who can get pregnant always have the right to make decisions about their own reproductive health. In 1879, the state of Connecticut banned the sale and use of birth control. Under this law, which stood for over 80 years, a woman in Connecticut could not legally purchase any form of birth control. In 1961, Estelle Griswold put Connecticut's ban on birth control to the test by opening a birth control clinic in New Haven. This simple act of disobedience, of civil disobedience, resulted in the police shutting down the clinic and arresting Estelle Griswold. Deborah Weiner, a UU religious educator, recalls,
"My mother was one of the founders of the Unitarian Society of New Haven. She, along with a bunch of activist Unitarian women, were leaders with Planned Parenthood of New Haven. During the time the clinic was closed, the board was determined to continue dispensing birth control. They set up in our basement with windows cardboarded up, typewriters set up, boxes of diaphragms and gel, and birth control pills everywhere. I was warned not to tell anyone what was going on. I was told that it could result in my mom getting arrested, so I kept quiet and the operation continued. When the Griswold versus Connecticut ruling came down from the Supreme Court in 1965, there was a huge celebration in New Haven. My mother and her friends, who were almost all UUs, were heroes because they carried on even when the police tried to stop birth control from being available."
Our bodies are sacred. No matter how many bodies bear scars from misogyny encoded into law, from violence, from lack of access to medical care, women's bodies are sacred, and so are the choices offered by reproductive freedom. And we'll again sing our response. There is a love holding us.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Unitarian Universalists know that life comes with hard choices, and we believe that pregnant people can be trusted to make the hard choices, including the decision to terminate a pregnancy.
Even after the Griswold and versus Connecticut ruling in 1965, it was difficult for women to get birth control in many areas of the country. It was illegal and often deadly to seek an abortion.
In 1967, an unlikely group formed to help women obtain safe abortions, the Clergy Consultation Service, an underground network of rabbis and ministers, including UU ministers.
The charge for aiding and abetting an illegal abortion was a $1,000 fine and up to a year in prison. But the Clergy Consultation Service operated out in the open, says one minister, sending the message that we were choosing to defy the law in order to adhere to a higher law.
By 1973, roughly 1,400 clergy members across the country had helped hundreds of thousands of women access safe abortions. Having clergy take such risks helped to change social attitudes about abortion. And the case that became Roe versus Wade started in Texas with the encouragement from the Unitarian Universalists, especially the Women's Alliance of the First Unitarian Church of Dallas.
Today, we affirm this commitment. In the words of Reverend Lisa Sargent, the movements for reproductive rights, for gay and lesbian rights, for civil rights, for immigrant rights, for human rights cannot be separated. Each of them is fundamentally about ensuring that every person has control over their own life. Will you again enter into the spirit of meditation as we sing together? There's a love holding you.
There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all that you love. There is a love holding you. You rest in this love.
Our seventh story shows us, again, that no one is outside the circle of love and no one is disposable.
In 1982, the CDC created the term AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, to describe an infection that was killing people. As the AIDS epidemic grew to claim the lives of tens of thousands each year, it became clear that AIDS was moving with particular vengeance through the gay community. The response from both secular and religious voices was silence or outright condemnation. Many churches refused to hold funerals for gay men, and their own families would turn away from them.
Unitarian Universalist ministers were among the few clergy who entered the pastoral breach, grieving with and tending to the dying. One of them, Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey, recalls,
I conducted the early memorial services with the clear insight that the first victims of a massive shipwreck were just washing ashore, though I couldn't possibly have imagined the magnitude of the loss. Time and again, we stood facing the ocean and scattered the ashes of our dead into the wind.
Harvey remembers sitting in silence with a dying parishioner. Listen, he said, breaking the silence, and all this madness, even if it kills every single one of us and there's no one left to tell the stories, it matters that we love each other well.
We are left to tell the stories. It matters that we continue to love each other well, that we make promises to honor love and justice. Please sing again as we remember the love that lives inside of each of us, which continues to call to us. There is a love holding me.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is
In our final story today, we recognize yet again that none of us are truly free until we all are free.
On Sunday, March 7th, 1965, Alabama state troopers attacked 600 unarmed protesters as they walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge outside Selma in an attack that became known as Bloody Sunday. The following day, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called on clergy across the nation to come to Selma to witness the brutality and to bring national attention to the violence and injustice there. In his call to the clergy, Dr. King wrote,
"No American is without responsibility. The people of Selma will struggle for the soul of the nation, but it is fitting that all America help bear the burden. I call therefore on clergy of all faiths, representative of every part of the country, to join me for a minister's march. In this way, all America will testify to the fact that the struggle in Selma is for the survival of democracy everywhere in our land."
The struggle for the survival of democracy continues today. In January, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as their acronym ICE, we can all say boo, no, came in force to Minneapolis and St. Paul to conduct sweeping raids on Somali Americans and others. They have terrorized the Twin Cities. When faced with nonviolent protesters and observers, they've responded with pepper spray, tear gas, and bullets. Renee Good, a beloved community member and mother, was murdered by ICE agents as she followed directions to leave an area where ICE was operating. In response to the escalating violence, faith leaders have once again been called to witness.
In 1965, clergy responded to Dr. King's call. Today, clergy are again responding to the call. UU ministers, including our pastor, Eli Poor, and other religious leaders from across the country, have joined thousands who've gathered in Minneapolis to bear witness to the ongoing injustice taking place there. As Side with Love writes,
Our faith calls us to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to side with love, and to work for justice. We go to Minneapolis because when our neighbors are under siege, when mothers are dying from fear in their own homes, living our principles demands we show up. We go to bear witness, to use our bodies and our covenant to say, not here, not in our name.
not all of us can go to Minneapolis to witness, but our response to all injustice must be as a community, not as individuals. No one of us is powerful enough to fight the oppressions we are experiencing, but together we can respond powerfully, some witnessing in person while others are supporting at a distance, all of us answering the call. Let us take a moment of quiet meditation to reflect on what we've learned, to send care and strength to those who are standing strong for our values today. Now is your chance to respond to what we experienced today. Please be brief so all who wish have time and space to share.
This morning, I happened to be looking at my phone and the news on my phone, but let me back up to something else. Last week, when we heard about the second murder in Minnesota, I was speaking with my son, and I said, what are we to do? What are we to do? How is this going to end? And I was chilled when he said, I think it will end with civil war. And I couldn't speak. This morning, I happened to be on my phone looking at the news, and I hope and pray this is true. Trump had told Congress, the Senate, that he did not have to listen to them, that he was, and I'm paraphrasing, he was all powerful, and that the Senate had no power. Now, I hope and pray this is true, but they announced that a dozen Republican senators have organized and that they are going to, or they are opposing Trump. And if this is true, it could possibly mean his impeachment. So it's hope. There is still some hope.
I really enjoyed this presentation. Thank you, everyone. It was great. I know Kathy touched on this, but I just have the need to reiterate. 2 weeks ago, the call went out from the Unitarian Universalist Ministerial Alliance and said, we need our ministers to show up in Minnesota. And our pastor, Pastor Eli, raised their hand and said, I will go. And they went and stood on the front lines with many other ministers, 150 other UU ministers plus ministers from across other denominations were there to make the stand. And not only did they risk so much being there, many of them were arrested. Pastor Eli risked a lot more because they have been termed by the administration as local terrorists, or there's another word. Pardon? Domestic terrorists. And that puts them at risk of at any time being arrested just because, for no reason. So they were there on the front lines, and I am just so proud and supportive of a minister that will go to that length and do that. So I'm proud of our congregation too here. And one other thing I have to say, some of the stuff that Maureen and Larry read, in the early 90s, I recall, and when I heard what you read today, it brought tears to my eyes, because in the early 90s, I buried 18 people in a single year. Many of those were young men, one as young as 14 years old, with family that had nothing, would not have anything to do with them. Most of these young men died of AIDS. Most of them alone, except for the people in this community that supported them. So the movement of people standing up and being willing to put themselves at risk, because the Douglas Community Hospital wouldn't go in the rooms for them. And then they finally broke down and wore total suits from top to bottom and stood at the door. And we had one doctor, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on this, but one doctor, Sharon Thrall, that would actually treat patients with AIDS in our entire county. And so this was a big thing that the Unitarian Universalist Church stepped out and started pushing, not only for changes in how doctors and hospitals treated people with AIDS, but for research. And I'm done talking, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to bring up one more hero, Thomas Starr King, for whom the seminary is named in California, was a Universalist who became a Unitarian, and he was a minister in San Francisco. And he was the person who most influenced California to align itself with the northern states during the Civil War. And, you know, because I was bigoted, I grew up bigoted, okay? I have to constantly monitor my own behaviors, and I think that happens with a lot of it, most of us probably, for whatever reason. But there were congregations in the middle of the 20th, we're the 21st, 20th, 19, right in there somewhere, in Chicago that were segregated. So if you don't monitor yourself, you can, of course, I've lived in Idaho. You talk about being in the conservative areas, but the LDS were pretty nice to me, so I have to say that. So it can happen. And I think a lot of time we just aren't aware of what we're doing. So that's my story.
In the beginning of the AIDS crisis here. Okay. In the beginning of the AIDS crisis here in Douglas County, we have a hero, Billy Russo. He took his whole 401k out of his work, and he bought Ruby House. And men came for care, for love, for volunteers. So many families came and loved their children to their dying day. So Billy Russo is a true hero.
That's right. Couple more.
I'm Merlin Hill, and when the riots were going on in Chicago, I lived in a suburb of Chicago. And it was really a hard time because the blacks were really being, this isn't sexual now, this is racism. And I was a Methodist, and we had what do we call it? A church council where all the churches got together and talked about what we should do. And we raised money and food to take down. We had some black ministers or black people come to our church and talk to us. And also, our family and our kids were small at that time. We invited a black girl from down in Chicago to come live with us for a week so that we could better understand and they could better understand. We took them swimming at a local swimming pool. And a guy comes over and says, you know, we don't allow them in here. And I said, everybody's welcome here. If you don't like it, you can leave. And I was very proud of the church I belonged to there. And I'm very proud of the Unitarian Church, too.
Since we're acknowledging heroes throughout, I'd like to acknowledge the heroes of this church. And if you were a part of the early founding of the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist Church, would you just put your hand up, please? If you are a part of the founding, would you please put your hand up? Thank you.
We close with these words from Reverend Allie Casey Bell. Spirit of love and justice, because we know these two must be held together if we're going to get where we are going. Be with us now in a time when so much is changing, unimaginable, horrific, multiplying by the day. Give us strength not to turn our heads, but to lift our voices, our bodies, our very selves, to keep bending the moral arc toward thriving, toward equity, toward care for all. Help us examine and act on what we are learning, not only about the world, but about ourselves, about how we shape, echo, and amplify the noise of division. Turn our voices, turn our habits, turn our silence, until what once divided us becomes a song of resistance. Settle us out of our minds and into our hearts, so we may release whatever keeps us disconnected from one another. We cry out, "How long?" And we answer back now, and in the past, and into the future, because justice does not take a break from tyranny. Fascism cannot change the face of compassion. Equity will not surrender to the false comfort of the inequitable. Let us remember that hope has feathers, that it takes wings, not because it is naive, but because it is present, active, and alive. And let us not rest in complicity, but in truth. We are survivors, we are thrivers, and we will not stop until our work is done. Amen, Asha, and blessed be. Please rise as you're able, and we'll sing our closing song, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love alive, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call
remain standing. We extinguish the chalice with these words from Reverend Elizabeth Wynn. Unitarian Universalism is for those who've seen the arc bend toward justice and who doubt it will ever bend, but who know we must organize as if our lives depend on it anyway. Some ideologies say that only some people are saved. From those ideologies flows a world where people are criminalized for their identities, for being Muslim, Black, transgender, and undocumented.
Our theology says that we are all saved, and salvation is what we strive to build now for each other.
So we resist any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity. We know that now on earth is our chance to create heaven. We know that love crosses borders and prison walls, lives in queer families and disability justice organizers, thrives among trans young people and working class elders. We extinguish this chalice with gratitude for our roots, the ancestors who taught us to be brave in creating a fair and loving world. The flame is now ours, as is their work. We side with love, we work for justice, and we carry the flame forward. Now let's join in our closing circle and sing Go Lift It Up.